Machiavelli the Don till I'm gone. He was saying this shit while he was alive. He was telling us. We were talking about it through each other. Nigga, I'm a legend. I'm putting in mine. You better put in yours, because I'm a legend already.
Man, history a legend. You define me. John Machiavelli being. So many brothers raised in this very game. It's the same, so much pressure on my brain while she blame me. Real live tale about a snitch named Haitian Jack. Knew he was working for the feds. Same crime, different trials. Nigga, picture what he said.
So here comes the division. Let's go into that.
Sure.
How does something like that happen?
Yeah, so with the sexual assault charge, basically they get this woman who's basically, so Tupac, the night he met this woman, he was being led around by a guy named Jacques Ayanna. He had all kinds of aliases. But so this is a guy with a lot of money, and Tupac was already being brought up on trumped-up charges, some of the charges I just mentioned, for when he was shot at by this police officer in Atlanta, for example. Tupac rolled out his car, grabbed a security guard's gun, and shot back in self-defense. And this is according to eyewitnesses I talked to. Tupac's cousin, Billy Lassane, Tupac's manager at the time, his business manager, his name was Watani Tayahimba. The mainstream media kind of hides his name and hides him, but he was Tupac's business manager at that time. And so these are some eyewitnesses to what happened. And so I also got the Atlanta Constitution articles talking about this. And so it was basically these off-duty cops, these two brothers. They were carrying what they admitted was, because it was found on them, a gun stolen from a police evidence locker. Witnesses said they smashed, the window of Tupac's car and shot at him. Tupac rolled out the back, got evaded the bullets, rolled out the back real quick, grabbed the gun, shot back, got down on one knee and shot back in self-defense. And so, a young black man shooting police officers in the deep south of Atlanta. He gets, and it doesn't even go all the way through the trial. It's completely dropped. That's what happened, and the reason that happened is because it was a botched assassination attempt of Tupac at that time. They were caught. They were caught with the gun stolen from the evidence locker, which they call a throwaway gun. Another police officer testified in a different Tupac trial that they call those things throwaway guns. That when you make an illegal shooting and murder of someone, you can put that gun down and it won't be traced back to you because it was stolen from an evidence locker. And so then you go into the situation. So Jacques Ayanna, it turns out, Tupac's New York trial lawyer, Michael Warren, gets his rap sheet from somebody he knows that can get it for him, and it's got a long list of arrests on major charges up down the East Coast, all dismissed. And he says that's a sure sign of a police, intelligence agent, and FBI national intelligence agent, basically. And so he's undercover. So this is Jacques Ayanna, an undercover agent. And Tupac didn't know this, but when, of course, Michael Warren told him this, he, cut his ties with him. But before that, he didn't know this. And so Jacques Ayanna's leading him to this exclusive dance club where it's hard to get into for even stars like Tupac. And so Jacques Ayanna gets him in this exclusive club, and he's in there with these, top athletes and stars and other stars and stuff. And he introduces him to this woman named Ayanna Jackson. Ayanna Jackson's with a date. She leaves her date completely, just cold cut, leaves him, dances with Tupac, and proceeds to, by all witness accounts, give him a blowjob on the dance floor. Now, she admitted in court that she kissed his penis, but she, other people say it was a full blowjob on the dance floor in public, and so then they go back to her hotel room. They have consensual sex. That's all agreed upon in court. And a few nights later, Haitian, Jacques Ayanna says, "Well, let's get Ayanna Jackson back here." And meanwhile, she had left messages on Tupac's, hotel voicemail. I like the way you fuck. I want to get back together with you and all that. And he just didn't. He wasn't. He didn't really care about it. But Haitian Ayanna gets her back to the hotel again. And so they have oral sex. They both agree there was oral sex, But then Tupac leaves the hotel room, and he feels like he's drugged or something because he passes out in the other room. And then she proceeds to say that Jacques Ignat's associate, a guy named Trevor, and Charles Man Fuller then sexually assaulted her, and she acts like Tupac also sexually assaulted her. Now, all the evidence went against that, and so the only thing Tupac got found not guilty of sodomy, forced sodomy, attempted forced sodomy, assisting forced sodomy, all these different charges. The only thing he got found guilty of was touching her butt against her will. Okay, nothing really sexual, just touching a woman's butt against her will, who they both agreed had oral sex, consensual oral sex. And Jacques Ignat had one account of touching her butt against her will. And for that, though, Tupac gets 1.5 to 4.5 years in the maximum security prison. It's unbelievable, it's really unbelievable. And Jacques Ignat gets the equivalent of a speeding ticket for the same crime,
For the same crime.
Yeah, and so it's, now granted they split their cases because they wanted to make a bigger case of Tupac, but they split their cases because Jacques Ignat had a Policemen's Benevolent Association lawyer, guy who represented the Policemen's Benevolent Association for 30 years. And you tell me that's not another sign of a undercover agent. But anyway, and so obviously they were very careful about keeping being very lenient when Jacques Ignat, and very intensely trying to put Tupac in prison the rest of his life. But so at least for the next few years, for touching a woman's butt against her will, who he had consensual sex with, it's absurd. But the last night before the jury was deciding on the case, Tupac was asked by an associate of Jacques Ignat's to come to a recording studio and help lay down a track for somebody, and Tupac needed the money because he'd spent a lot of money on all these false arrests and charges and lawsuits brought against him to drain his money and to take up his time. And so he goes to the Quad Studios and goes inside, and he's very stoned, so he doesn't realize that something strange was going on there. But basically he's shot once to put him in the ground, and then twice in the back of the skull. And the bullets, I have a picture of the doctor's affidavit in my book, but 2 bullets went through the back of the skull, and then 2 bullets went out the front of the skull and just barely missed his brain. It was clearly another assassination attempt. And they pretended like it was a random mugging. The police pretended like it was a random mugging. They had the whole incident. They had a videotape of the people that did it, and the security guard offered that to the police, and the police turned it down and closed the case. So they were obviously involved, and
wow.
And so that's the way it all went down. And so I have over 1,000 endnotes, showing where all my sources are for this, what I'm telling you now in my book, and pictures of a lot of these things, documents and stuff in the film. But I'm sorry that Amazon seems to have taken down the film, and so I can only sell it now through my website, johnpotash.com. But nonetheless, you can get the book and see, all this information, massively detailed in the FBI War on Tupac Shakur, state repression of black leaders from the civil rights era to the 1990s. And you can get it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or a number of places. But anyway, so this is the way they carried that out. And this is all before any problem with, any issue with Biggie or a bad boy or anything like that. Before, this is what led him to jail and feel desperate